In this video, we'll be seeing how to develop a wallpaper application in Android. We'll be using a form to set the title, thumbnail, and the image of the wallpaper. And we'll be creating this API with the form. And these data will be loaded on the Android application. The application loads the thumbnail and the title on the first page. Then when we click the thumbnail, it loads the actual image. In that screen, we'll be having a set as lock screen and home screen option, and also a download option. So this is what we will be developing in this video. First of all, I'll be explaining how to set up this form, and then we'll be going to the Android application. We'll be using Heroku for the deployment of our project, and we'll be using the free version. You just need to create the account, click the sign up and create the account. That's all. And we'll be using the free version, and the free version has some limitation. It will go to sleep after 30 minutes of inactivity. So this is basically used for testing. So if you want to publish this app to the Play Store or to the real world, so you have to opt for a hosting account. You will get really cheap hosting. So I prefer you to go for the hosting. And for now, we are just learning. So you could use the Heroku free version. So just log into or create new account in Heroku. I already have an account, so I'm just logging in. So after logging in, you have to create a new app. Before creating a new app, you have to go to this URL. In my website, I have given the source code for all the admin base. That is just the form. So download it and you will get a zip file and extract it. Now after extracting, you will find a folder named Wallpaper app. So go to that folder, and now you can see there are some files. You have to open this in an editor. I have opened this in the PHP Storm. You can use the VS Code or any other editor. Now after opening this, we have to upload this to the Heroku. So for that, you have to go to the Heroku, and in the dashboard, click Create New App. Give the name. Select the region and create app. So now we have created the application. Now we have to deploy the source code to the Heroku. For that, you have to open the terminal. After that, you have to log in to the Heroku. Just type Heroku login. You will get the code exactly in the Heroku deploy option. Now you have to press the enter key and it will open the browser for logging in. Now click login. Now you are logged in. You can see that you are logged in. After that, go to the dashboard and make sure you are in the exact directory. You have to make sure that you are in the directory which you want to upload to the Heroku. Otherwise, everything could go wrong, like the URL will go wrong. So make sure that you are exactly inside the project directory. After that, just type git init. Then just copy and paste this. Now we have to do this too for the deployment. So just copy the commands First of all, add git add base dot. Then we have to do the commit. Give any commit message. Now you can push the project to the Heroku. Now the project is available in this URL. Just click it and you can see that the application is open in this URL. You can see the form active. Now I will explain this code. So here we just have an index page which just contain a form, and this form will call this when the post is submitted. And first of all, we will verify whether the key is correct. This is for a simple verification, so that since we don't have a login, this will handle the security, and this is not much. I prefer you to implement the login. For now, we are using a key. You could make this more complicated. So after that, we have set the directory for the image, and images will be uploaded to the images directory, and the thumbnails will be uploaded to the thumbnails directory. And then here we just need to get the file type, that is the extension, then file name. We are creating a file name here. So after that, we are just handling the uploads. We just check whether the image is actually an image and whether it is less than the size. Now this is 20 megabits. If it's more, then we will say that the file is too large. Then after checking all this, we will just upload it to the server. And if the uploading is successful, we will write it to the JSON file. That is done by this function. So the JSON file is inside the APIs wallpaper.json. Now this will be automatically created when we upload the files, and only if the uploading is successful, this will be created. And we also have an index page that just shows the content inside the wallpaper.json. So that's all in this. This is basically just a form that handles image uploads and creates a JSON file. So that's it with this. Now you could access the APIs by typing /APIs. Now you can see the API is available here. We'll be using this URL on the Android application to access our wallpapers. Here you could upload a new wallpaper. So let me just show you one example. Now you have to select the access key that we have provided and then just choose the thumbnail. Now these thumbnails I have provided in the description. You could download it and choose the image. You have to create your own images and the thumbnails. Make sure that the thumbnail is very small in size so that the application will load faster, and also make sure the sizes are also smaller. Then the image should be in absolute quality. So that's the aim of creating the thumbnail. Now after selecting this, you can click the submit. Now you can see the uploading is happening. Now you can see the uploading is successful. If the uploading is successful, it will give these messages. Okay. The first message means the thumbnail is successfully uploaded. Then the second one is for image. The wallpaper image is uploaded. And if the both are uploaded successfully, then wallpaper successfully added to the JSON file will be shown. So that's the messages. And now after that, you want to see the new wallpaper added to the API, go to the API. Now you can see that the API is added. New one is added here. You can see that. So that's all for our website of the application. We just have a form that handles the uploading of images. So the problem with Heroku is that the image that we have just uploaded right now will be lost after 30 minutes of inactivity. If the application is inactive for 30 minutes, the image and the data we have uploaded and changed right now will be lost. So I prefer you to go for an hosting account if you need to upload this to the Play Store or the App Store, etc. Now I have to say something that the images that are inside the images folder while we do the commit will be there even after the 30 minutes time. Only the data we have changed after the commit changes. That means we'll be having these 5 wallpapers even after the 30 minutes time problem in the Heroku. So these 5 wallpapers that we have set while the committing will be there even after the problem is. You have to change these URLs to your own respective URLs while you upload. Just change this to the application name that you have set it. Change all these 5. Otherwise, when I delete the application, these 5 wallpapers won't be available. Okay, hope I covered everything. So let's move to the Android side. Now after completely finishing the web part, you can go to the Android side. Now start a new empty activity project. Name it. After completely building the project, you have to go to the resources, layout, and create some layouts for our project. So I have already created all the layouts that we need so that we could speed up the video. So creating a layout is actually very easy, so I'm not going to explain it. You could go to the link provided in the description and download all the resources file, which will include the layouts, drawables, and all the values and the icons, etc. And you could just download it and paste it to the layouts just the way I am going to do it. So download the files and you will find folders named drawable, font, icon, layout, and values. And these images are just the wallpapers that I have used and the thumbnail that I have used on the web part. So if you like to use this, you could use these. Okay. So first of all, we have to copy all the drawable part. So go to the drawable and copy all these images. Control C and go back to the project. Now paste it on the drawable folder. Make sure you select the first one, not the second one, first one. Now we have placed all the images that we need. After that, go back and copy the folder font. Control C. Now paste it on the res folder. Now you can see that we have added a folder named font to the resources folder, and we have two fonts. So we'll be using these two fonts in order to give it a styling. Then go back to the resources. Now go to the values folder. You could just copy all these files, Ctrl C, and paste it. Paste it in the values folder. Now it will ask you to override the files because we already have these files. So click override for all. Now this have made some changes, like I have changed the primary color and all those colors and added two new colors, that is the white and the gray. And also in the string I have added title, home screen, lock screen. You have to change the app name according to your wish. Then in the style I have added a new toolbar and also added a font family for the main theme. That's all that I have done in the values folder. Then go back to the resources. Now we have to copy the layouts. So we are having three layouts. So copy them, Ctrl C, and paste them. Paste them in the layouts folder. Now it will ask you to override the activity main.xml file. So click override. Now go to the activity main.xml file. Now you will find all these errors. Just ignore them for now. Now these errors occur because we haven't added the Gradle dependencies. So go to the Gradle scripts and build Gradle app module. So go to the dependencies section, and here we have to add few dependencies. Now we have added 5 dependencies. Now the Dexter is for handling runtime permission, and the Glide is for loading images from the URL, and Volley will help us to load the data from the API. And all these two are for things like the swipe to refresh and all these material design things. Okay, just add these 5 dependencies, then click on sync now. After that you can close it. Now you can see that almost all the errors are fixed. Now we are just having this one as the error. Just change it to the main activity. Okay, so that's also fixed. Now our activity main is completely fine. Now go to the activity view wallpaper.xml file. Just ignore the first one. Now go down and you can see everything is fine right here. Then check the list items. And here we can see that ICHD is missing. This is because I just forgot to provide this. I have updated the drawable files just now while recording. So go to the drawable and you could find ICHD. Copy the file. You could find it inside the resources drawable. Inside it you could find ICHD. Copy the file and go back to your project. Now paste it in the drawable folder. Make sure you select the first folder, not the second one, and click OK. Click OK. Now you can see the error is gone. Okay. Now we have completely finished with our layouts. Okay, now you have to make sure that you keep note of the IDs of each items, because we will be using these IDs to put the data to these respective views. So we'll be using these IDs. So keep note of all these IDs and ignore this one for now, because we will be actually creating an class right now. Now go to the Java and create a new Java class. Name it View wallpaper, this name. Okay, then click enter. Now you have just created a class. Go to the main activity and copy all these from here and paste it on this file. Now rename this to the view wallpaper, and also make sure that you change the set content view to activity view wallpaper. Okay, now we have fixed this error. Now everything is fine. Now I will explain you what we have implemented so far. You can see in the activity main, we have just created a list view with a swipe to refresh option, and the ID is swipe and the list view ID is list. So that's what we have implemented, just the layout part, and we will be having the layout for each items, that is the list items. Okay, now this is the design of each items inside the list view. Okay, now after this you have to go to the Java part again and create a new class. Now this time name it the DataHandler. Now this is for handling the data. So create string, give the name title, thumbnail and image. Now create a constructor. We need to pass the title, thumbnail and image as the arguments. So now we have created a constructor that accepts the arguments, that is the title, thumbnail and image. Now inside this, type this dot title equal to title, this dot thumbnail equal to thumbnail, and this dot image equal to image. Now this will just copy the arguments that we pass while creating the object to the variables that we have declared here. Okay, that's what this is. After that we have to write functions for the getters. So just type get, and you could see the suggestions like get title, and now get thumbnail and get image. Now these are the getters that we have implemented. Now the data handler is finished, completely finished. Now you have to create a custom adapter for the list view. So go to the Java or package name and left click new Java class, and here we have to create a new adapter. I'm just naming it WallpaperAdapter. Now this should extend the array adapter. Now inside this we have to set the data handler. Now we have to create a constructor and type wallpaper adapter. Now the first argument is context, int sources, list data handler, Just Alt Enter to import the class. Inside this, call the super and pass context, resources, and the list. Now we have to create variables for the context. Resources, and the list data handler. Now inside the constructor, we have to set the values from the parameters to the variables. Okay, now after this, you have to implement a function called getView. So just type get view and you could see the suggestion. Now use it. Now here you have to remove this return statement and create a layout inflator. Now create a view. Now just click here and type Alt Enter. Now at the end of this function, just return view. That's all. Now we have to do all the other stuff inside this. Here we have to set the title and the thumbnail to the respective views. So for that, you have to create the text view equal to view dot find view by id r dot id dot. Now here you have to specify the id of the title. That is, we are using this text view to set the title. So go to the list items. Now here you could see the title. Just click it and check its id. Now its id is title. Okay, so we need this id here. So set the id as title. So the id is set. Now next we have to create the image view. Now for here, the id is the id of this image. That is this one, list image. So give the id as list image. Make sure that the IDs are exactly the same, otherwise the app might crash. Here you have to get the data from the data handler. Create a new data handler and that's equal to data handlers, that is this one. So in order to avoid the confusion, just name this to the data list. Okay, now the data handlers dot get, inside this pass the position. Okay, now we have every data that we need from the handler. So now inside you have to set the data to the text view. So text view dot set text, and that's equal to list data list dot get title. So here we have set the title to the text view. Now we have to load the image to the respective image view, that is the list image. So for that we have to use the glider library that we have implemented. So glide dot width, inside pass context. Now just press alt enter, that will just import the glide dot load. Now here we have to set the thumbnail, so that is the data list dot get thumbnail. After that you have to mention center crop. Now this is to fit the image properly. Now if you need to show an image, if an error occur, for that mention error. For that we have added a drawable file. Now if an error occurs, this image that we have added in the drawable, that is no image, this image will be appearing. After that we have to set a placeholder, and for that r.drawable.ic loading. Then after that we have to set into and mention the image view. So that's all. So the placeholder is the time while the image takes to load. It will show an image. So this image will be shown while the image is loading. So after the image is completely loaded, it will set the image to the image view. So that's handled. Now we have set and properly completed our adapter. Now we can go to the main activity, and here you have to create a list view and initialize the list view. Now you can see the ID list is from the activity main.xml file from the list view that we have set. This is the ID of the list view. So go back to the, if you just want to make sure that you have properly set the IDs, then just click Control and just hover over the ID. So you can see that the list ID is from the file activity main.xml file. So if we click this, it will go to the exact place. So that's how you could just verify it. So after this, you have to create another variable that is for the list data handler. Now set the name as data handler list. Okay, then we have to create a swipe to refresh. We have already created the layout for it. So create the object swipe to refresh layout. Swipe to refresh layout. Now we have to create an object for the wallpaper adapter. That is our custom adapter. Wallpaper adapter. Wallpaper adapter. Now we have created all the objects. Now here we have to set the data handler list to new array list. That's all. Now we have to initialize the swipe to refresh. Just make sure that the ID is proper. The ID is swipe. Okay. Hope you know to check that right now. I have explained you how to check the IDs. So now we have to load the data from the API URL that we have created. That is from this URL. So this is our API. So we need to get these data to our Android application. So for that we are using Volley. So go back to the application. Below the onCreate method, create a method called load data private void load data. Now with this function, we'll be loading the data from the URL to a string and we will be parsing the string. Now I will explain it later. So first of all, we have to create a request with the volley and load the data from the API. Now we have to create the string request. Equal to new string request, and inside this request dot method dot, here you can mention the type of method, whether it is post or get. So we are using get, and after that you can mention the API URL. So in our case, this is the URL. For you, the API URL may vary, so make sure the API URL is correct. Now paste the URL here. Then after this, just give a comma. Make sure you give the comma exactly here. Then press enter. Okay. Now here, new response dot listener. So here inside the response function, on response function, we'll be getting the response data as the string. Okay. So after this, just give a comma and new response error listener. Create an response error listener. When an error occurs, this function will be called. Okay. So then just go back here and give a semicolon. So now let's just align the entire code. For that, Control A to select entire code, and then Ctrl Alt L. Now this will align the code in Android Studio. Here we will be getting the response as a string. So after this, we have to parse the response. Okay. Before that, we are having the swipe to refresh layout. Okay. So when the data loading starts, we must set the swipe to refresh to refreshing true. So this will start the swipe to refresh icon on the top. And after we get the response, we could set this to false. Set refreshing to false. So that's all with the swipe to refresh. Now here we have to parse the JSON string, that is the response. It will contain all these values as a string. We have to parse this JSON. For that, create a function named parse JSON. Now we have to create this function. Now outside the function load data, create a function private void parse JSON. Now here we have one parameter, that is the response. Let's give it as res. So we have to pass response from here. So here we are parsing the JSON string. Okay, so that is done inside this function. Okay, first of all, create a string for title, thumbnail, and image. Now before this, we have to handle the swipe to refresh also. So this is for while the first time loading. So go to here and type swipe to refresh dot set on refresh listener, new swipe to refresh list layout dot on refresh listener. Now inside this we have to call the load data, and also we have to call it here. So you have to call the load data twice. Okay, we have to differentiate from the first call and the call made when the swipe to refresh is called. For that we have to pass something. So I am passing a string and telling it first. So this just means that this is the first call. Okay, then inside this we'll be passing that refresh. So this means that this load data is called from the swipe to refresh. So we have to create a string and give it the name type. Okay, and we have to pass that to the parse JSON also. So give a comma and pass type, and go to our function parse JSON, give a comma and type string type. Okay, now our problem with the swipe to refresh is also fixed. Now after this title, thumbnail and image, you have to check whether we are calling through the swipe to refresh or not. Okay, for that just set type dot equals refresh. Now if the type is equal to refresh, we have to clean the data handler list, and also we have to notify the adapter. So just clear the list and notify the adapter. Okay, that's all with the swipe to refresh part. Then here we have to parse the JSON. So for that, type JSON array. We are having a JSON array. So this is an JSON array, and inside this we are having JSON objects. Okay, so we are having one JSON array. So create JSON array equal to new JSON array res, that is the string. Now this error occurs because we have to set the try and catch. So just click alt enter, just click here and type alt enter and just click surround with try and catch. That's all. So inside the try here we have to write a for loop where int I equal to 0, I less than JSON array dot length. That means the array's length. Okay, we are writing a for loop that runs until the array finishes. Okay, after that I plus plus. That's all. Now inside this we have to create a JSON object and get the data from the array. So this just gets the data from the array for each item. Now after this, you have to set the title equal to JSON object dot get of the name of the, now this is this one. Okay, this is the name, so get title. Now we have to convert this to string. That's all. So just like that, we have to do this for thumbnail. So that's all. We have successfully parsed the data from the API to each strings. Okay. Now after that, we have to set the data handler list dot add. Now inside this, we have to create a new data handler list and pass the title, thumbnail, and image as arguments. So that's all. So this statement, according to our API, right now we are having 5 items. Okay, the for loop will run 5 times. Okay, from 0 to 4. Okay, so this will be called 5 times. Okay, 5 data will be added. So after this, after the for loop, outside the for loop, you have to write wallpaper adapter equal to new wallpaper adapter. Inside this, pass the get application context and also the layout, that is the list items, and then the data list and list. Now we have to set the adapter list view dot set adapter, that is our wallpaper adapter. Let's just run this and check whether it's working properly. So before that, we forgot to add the queue. So if you don't add this, so this will not work. Okay, so don't forget to add this. So we can also add a toast message when we get an error. For that, just type toast.make test get application context. Now here we are having the error and dot get message. Okay, after that, set the toast length and show. Okay, now we will show a toast message if we are getting any error. Okay, that's all. So now we are completely finished with the activity main part. Now we have to set an on-click listener for list view, that is list view dot set on item click listener. Okay, new on item click. Okay, now inside this we have to start the new activity, that is view wallpaper. Okay, so we will be opening a new activity, that is the view wallpaper, when we click the thumbnail or the list view item. Okay, so for that, just create a string for title, thumbnail, image. Then here we have to get the data of title from the data handler list dot get, pass the position, and dot get title. Then we have to get the image equal to data handler dot get of position and dot get image. That's all. Now we have to create an intent. Now we have to mention the get application context. Then our new activity, that is ViewWallpaper.class. After that, we have to pass these title and image to our new activity. For that, intent dot put extra. Now give the name title and then pass title. Just like that, pass the images also. So here we don't need the thumbnail to be passed. So you could just remove it because we just need the title and the image. Now you can call the start activity and pass intent. Now this will open our new activity, that is the wallpaper, view wallpaper, and pass title and image to it. So before that, you have to go to the manifest and add our new activity. So below this, add the new activity, that is the wallpaper. That's all. And here we also have to set the permission for internet. Otherwise, our application will not work. Also, we need some permissions like write to external storage, because we will be downloading the files. Now we also need read external storage and set wallpaper and set wallpaper hints. These three permissions are also needed. So add these 5 permissions and also this activity. Now after that, you have to go to the view wallpaper, and here we have to implement few things. Now if you go and check the view wallpaper XML file, that is the activity view wallpaper.xml, you could see we are having an image view, that is the image full with the ID. Okay, then we are having an icon for download and a button for set as lock screen and set as home screen. So we need to implement those methods here inside the view wallpaper. So here we have to create variables for title, image, and image file name. Now you have to create all these objects, and I'll be going faster here and won't be explaining much because the video is going so long. Now here we have to set the activity to full screen by hiding the status bar and all those things. For that, get window dot set flags. Window manager dot params dot flag full screen, and also Now make sure you set the activity to full screen. Just add this line. Then after that, you have to receive the data that we passed from our main activity to the view wallpaper activity. That is through the intent. Okay. Now image equal to get intent dot get string extra. Now inside this we have to mention the title, the name that we have provided there. No, not the title. If we are providing the title, then just add this to the title. Then here we have to capture the image and change this to image. Okay, that's all. After this, we have to initialize the image view, that is the full image view and the download image view, and two buttons, that is the set as lock screen and set as home screen. So let's just initialize them. Now we have initialized the objects, that is the image full, and make sure the IDs are properly matching, otherwise the application will crash. So make sure the IDs are matching. Okay, each IDs should be exactly as I have said. Okay, otherwise the application will crash. Okay, then now we have to load the image, that is the actual image, actual wallpaper. Yeah, we are using the glide dot with this, then dot load. Now the load will be loading the image that we pass through the intent. Okay, this is it. After that, just enter crop to align it. Now after this, you have to create a listener, that is dot listener, and inside that new request listener, and that's it. Now this is the listener. Then after that, just set the error. When the error occurs, just like before, r.drawable dot no image. Then also, if for the placeholder, r.drawable dot loading. And now finally we have to set into our image view, that is the image view full. Okay, that's all. Now inside this listener, on resource ready, we have to set the on click listener for two buttons, that is the button lock screen and home screen, and also for the image view for downloading. And so here we have to set the on click listener for that. So before this return false, just set the on click listener for button lock screen dot set on click listener new on click listener. So that's it. Then after that, just set the on click listener for button home screen dot set on click listener. Okay, now we have set the on click listener for both the buttons. Now for the image view download dot set on click listener. That's it. Now we have set the on click listeners for all the buttons and the image view. And now here inside the lock screen, we have to set the wallpaper when somebody clicks button. So for that, we have to create a function set wallpaper. So go below and here outside the onCreate method, just create a private void set wallpaper function, and we need a string that passes the type. Now here the type indicates whether it is for the lock screen or whether it is for the home screen. Okay, that's why we are using the type here. Now inside this we have to set the wallpaper according to the type. Now here we have to set the screen size, get the screen size. For that, create a function get screen size. So this function get screen size. Oh, we have made an error here. Okay. So this function get screen size will return the size of the height and width of the screen. Okay. That's what this function does. Then after this, we have to get the wallpaper manager. Now we have to get the image from the image view. For that, now we have get the bitmap from the image. Now we have to set the bitmap size. For that, just type bitmap equal to now we have to set the lock screen and home screen wallpapers. For that, now if the type equals lock, we will be setting the lock screen wallpaper. Now we have set the wallpaper for the lock screen. Now this is because this is only supported by the versions which is above NuGet. So just add an if statement. Now we have set the lock screen. Now here we have to set the wallpaper for the home screen. Now we have set the wallpaper for both home screen and lock screen. Now this error is because this function is not supported by Android versions which is below the NuGet. So for that we have to add an if condition. Now you can see the warning is gone. Now there is an error, you can see that. This is because we have to implement this inside a try catch. So just type the try here and after the statement just catch it. Now, if the Android version is below the NuGet, we can set the wallpaper for both. That is like wallpaper dot set bitmap. That's all. Now this will set the wallpaper for both the home screen and lock screen. So now after this, you could also set a toast message after setting the wallpaper. So just set the toast message, that is toast.makeText, and set the toast message like this. So after the home screen, just set the home screen wallpaper set. Now here you could just give a toast saying that wallpaper set. So that's all. Now after the else, you have to set the wallpaper manager dot suggest desired dimensions and pass the sizes. That's all. Now this function will set the wallpaper. So that's all. Now we have to call these functions when we click the home screen and the lock screen respectively. So call set wallpaper. Now if we are calling this from the button lock screen, pass lock, and from the home screen just call set wallpaper and pass home. Now our task is to download the image. So for downloading the image, you have to create a function called download from image view, private void download from image view. So this will download the image from the image view. So I will explain this after completely finishing the function. So here image file name is the file name. So we are getting it from the image, that is the image URL, and it is the last portion, that is the file name dot jpeg or png etc, that extension. Okay, that will be got to this image file name. After that we are just creating a folder that is just named codeseasy wallpapers. You could just name it whatever you like, to the images directory in the Android. And after that we are just getting the bitmap from the image view just like the before, and after that we are just saving it to the file. So that's what we are doing it here. So after that, after saving this, we could just refresh the gallery so that the image will be visible on the gallery. Otherwise the image will be there but it won't be visible right away. So for that we could just write a function private void refresh gallery. Now we need to accept the parameters, that is the file. Okay, now this will allow us to refresh the gallery. So after the try and catch, that's here, just call the refresh gallery and pass file. So now we have fully implemented. Now we just need to call this function. So go to the image view, download dot set listener. On the on-click listener, we have to call download image view. That's all. Now we have implemented all the functionalities, but here we are downloading an image and that requires a runtime permission. So we need to use Dexter and ask for the permission to write into external storage. So for that, before calling the function download image view, we have to write few things, that is the Dexter dot with context, application context, with permission. Here we have to mention the permission manifest dot permission dot write into external storage. So this is it. So this is the listener. So here this function will be called when the permission is granted by the user, and when the user denies the permission, this will be called. And so here we could just show a toast message saying that permission is needed to download the image. Now if the user accepts the request, we could just download the image. So just call the download from image view. So that's all. So here after the listener, we just have to dot check. So that's all. So now we are finished with the coding. We have completely implemented all the functionalities that we need. Now let's run the application in an emulator. So the app is open. Now we can see the swipe to refresh is working. The images are loading properly. Now let's click the list item, and the actual image is loaded. We have the option for set as lock screen and set as home screen. Now let's click the download. Now this will ask us the permission. Let's allow it. Now we are facing an error. Now let me just check the download function. So just change the plus 2 here. That's it. That was the error. We just added the index. That was the problem. So just make the changes here. That's all. Now just run the application again. Check the download option. Now you can see that the image is saved to the directory that we have created right now. You can see that. Okay. So let's check the set as home screen option. Yes, it is also working. Now let's go to another image. And after loading this, let's set this as the home screen. Now you can see the wallpaper has changed in the home screen, and that is working. Okay. Now let's check the lock screen option. Yes, it is also working properly. Now we are not having the name on the title bar. That's because we have created a custom toolbar here and we haven't initialized it. So just go to the main activity Java file, and below the set content view, just create a toolbar equal to find view by id r.id toolbar. Okay. Now here we have to set the supported action bar and pass the toolbar. So this is because we have imported the wrong toolbar. So just remove this Android widgets.toolbar. Now we'll be having an option to import it here. Just click here and press Alt Enter and import class. Now select the Android X option. Okay, not the Android widgets, the first one. Okay, now let's run the application. Yes, now you can see the title is also properly working. Now our application is completely working. Now let's just upload a new image and check. So just go to this page and set the title as test wallpaper 1. We are not having the wallpaper named test wallpaper. Okay. So now set the access key and choose the thumbnail. Now choose the image. So now let's upload the image. After successfully uploading, just refresh the application. Now you can see in the bottom, we are having our new wallpaper added successfully. So if we click the download while loading, it will not work. So after completely loading the image, it will save. So hope you understand how to create a wallpaper application. We have implemented both the web and also the Android part, making it easier for you. We are using the Heroku to deploy our application. and the source code will be provided in this link, and also you could check the description. More links will be in the description also. Make sure you check them all the resources will be provided for you, so check that and download that and use it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more such videos. We'll be creating more amazing and exciting projects like this and more complex ones too.